that schools need to do a better job supporting their students' mental health. And only one of them had adequate mental health support. Oh, sorry, there. And that was because it was a day treatment program. It's not for a lack of trying. I have experienced firsthand that schools do not have the right resources to support their students' mental health. Now, I received my first official diagnosis when I was in 7th grade, and that was for anxiety. But I've been dealing with anxiety, depression, and trauma my whole schooling career, practically my whole life. The best way to describe what an anxiety attack for me is the story of how I was first diagnosed with anxiety. I was in 7th grade at Hopkins North Junior High, and I was in a lab at science class. I had pulled up my grades to check out my science grade, and I saw that I only had a C in my science class, and that one of my assignments that I remembered turning in had been marked missing. Oh my gosh, my stomach sank like how you felt when you're a little kid and you lost your family out in public. I got dizzy and nauseous, and another kid had to help me walk down to the nurse's office from class because I couldn't feel anything from my knees down. My hands were tingling and I felt like I was going to pass out. It was really intense and I felt very alone and scared. All my teacher could do for me was send me to the nurse because he didn't know what to do. Unfortunately, neither did my school nurse, and so I had to be sent to urgent care where I was diagnosed with anxiety. Mom remembers that one.
Yes.
I was diagnosed with PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. This is in addition to my diagnosis of anxiety and depression, both of which were also contributing symptoms that worked negatively together my freshman year, meaning I suffer from nightmares, hallucinations, and dissociation, among other things. It was frustrating to have teachers reach out to me and tell me that it's okay that I'm dealing with that, but then have those same teachers marking me absent when I would fall asleep in class after not sleeping for nights on end because I had nightmares about traumatic events. It was frustrating when I would get in trouble with teachers because I would walk out of class without saying anything because my PTSD had been triggered, and if I said anything, I knew I would start crying, and I can't do that in front of a room full of teenagers who don't know anything about me. It was frustrating when teachers would lecture me how I would space out and refuse to do my work when I was just associating and trying to figure out why I couldn't feel anything and how to make it stop. I know from personal experience that it is painful to try and do anything with all that going on, and it's even worse when the adults that are supposed to be helping you are blowing you off and treating you like you're not having these problems because you're just a kid, and that doesn't fit in my ideals, so it can't be true. So it must just be hormones and growing up. It is unbelievably hard to solve for X when you feel like somebody's grabbing at your neck and near impossible to remember the Gettysburg Address when you've gotten 4 hours of sleep in 3 days, and it's exhausting to give a speech when you're having an anxiety attack. Not all teachers do that, of course, but the counselors tend to be more geared towards college readiness, and the social workers, if there even is one, usually are understaffed. Which means all these kids in a school have to share a handful of people that aren't always trained or specialized in mental health. The kids are spread too thin, and the counselors and social workers are spread too thin. There's research today that indicates that students have a greater difficulty learning when they are struggling with their mental health. A peer-reviewed article on Biomed Central reports that in a group of 10th graders, the ones that were taking the time and given the space to address their mental wellness did better in school. Another study in the journal Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology states that schools' connectedness has been found to correlate strongly and positively with students' academics, motivations, and indexes of school performance and adjustments. In my ideal schools, money would be set aside for mental health services, leading to better mental health training for teachers and showing the students, for teachers and other staff, and showing the students that there is no shame in asking for help. There would be more of a focus on mental wellness, and there would be therapists that are specialized in different aspects of mental health. And teachers and counselors and therapists would be getting paid more because what they're doing is important for making the world a better and brighter place. They're around the next generation for 40 plus hours a week with about 4 months off a year. School is a big factor in their lives, and if the students are going through school feeling unsafe, they aren't learning or growing, which negatively impacts society as a whole. Thank you guys for